All right. So we are live. I'm going to see what happens if I make you the host, and if when I leave it kills the meeting, you just text me, okay?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. All right, so you're live, you're recording. I'm going to see what happens here.
Okay. Let's see here. Connected.
Brennan, do you know you're recording right now?
Yes, Andrew set it up that way.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I just saw it and I thought, I wasn't sure if you meant to do that before we started.
Okay. We'll have our first guests come in. Tom and Sharon, I guess. Let's see here. Let Nick in.
Who are they?
Tom is Tom Fink. He's Old Oxford. They wanted to come to the council meeting too.
Okay,
So I'm gonna let them in.
that's fine.
Or should I wait till we?
I think you probably need to wait till you get all of us on there first.
Okay.
Nick, bless your heart. My little speed wagon.
Dead again. I saw that. We haven't had enough sunlight to keep that thing charged.
I know. It worked for about 2 days. And then,
Is that it? 2 days?
yeah, huh? It did work. So it was good. And then the ice storm came. And then, of course, with the ice and the snow, but it looks good. And now there's like a ton of snow in front of it. But
What were you seeing when you were watching it? Did you see?
For the most part, when people would see it, obviously they were going the speed limit. But at night, when they couldn't see it, if I was up here working, I would see, trucks and stuff go zipping by and it'd be like on 50 and it'd start doing its thing. It was like, and I didn't realize at the beginning that it also picks up people coming the other direction.
Yeah, it will from time to time. Generally, it's only the people coming towards it, but yeah, it'll pick up people going away from it if it's a slow, like if there's not much traffic or other stuff out.
Well, once the weather subsides and, it's actually using, because my office is up here, I can monitor it, randomly. So you can at least have a random sample of what's going on. So, but it's good. I had to convince some of my neighbors yesterday that they really needed to move their cars.
To allow the plows to come through.
Well, because I guess, we're a snow emergency route, although I don't think Main Street has that posted. I'm not sure. But I think one of them this morning, once he realized that when the state plows go by, that's much bigger. Occasionally the city or county guys will put their little shovel down. But when the state guys go by, because they're so big and it throws stuff so far, I mean, the whole side of his car would have been frozen in because he was like, I don't have a driveway. He does have a driveway. He has cars in it. Where am I supposed to park? I went, well, I don't know. They have a gate in the back to the college. So I asked him if he could get through there. I said, park in the college parking lot. Jamie parked in the Amen house. So,
Connie, you made it back?
Yeah, finally. It was crazy. We hovered for 15 minutes. I thought I was going to Cincinnati.
what?
I've just got back from Florida. I was supposed to be back yesterday, and they sent us, they grounded us. So we stayed at a hotel there in Punta Gorda and came back at 9 o'clock this morning. We were about 30 minutes late by the time we landed and stuff. But I mean, we're having issues too. Some of our guys that snowplow for us, they're broke down, the blades are broken, they can't find any salt. It's crazy. And then we're having another one tomorrow night. So
Yep.
Anyway, I'm rested.
I said the good thing about it is the temperatures are so low, it's killing all the viruses, it's killing the mosquitoes, it's killing, one of the guys at work said, you always find the upside to everything. I'm like, well, I try. I mean, why be pessimistic? It is beautiful and it keeps people off the street, hopefully. So it helps Nick and his guys not have to work so hard if they just all stay put. So
I'm pretty sure I killed it with the heat, and then when I got back, I froze it to death. So I'm thinking I'm pretty good, for sure. Hey, Brandon. Hey.
How's it going?
Good.
Brendan,
Really
is
good.
Mark,
Yes.
sorry, is Mark Gardner a guest?
He is.
Yes.
he
And
is
Tom
with
and
the police
Sharon.
department.
That I
Yeah.
knew.
Tom,
I was just trying to put him on the list here, so.
Who else is on?
That's all.
This is
We're
all of us?
still. Yeah. There's only 8.
Tim should be here.
Tim and Natalia. Eddie's not going to be here.
No, Eddie's out of town.
Kitty,
I
Mark is with the police department. I'm bringing him on as well. So between him, Jason, Christopher, and I, there will always be one of us available and current on the issues being brought before the traffic committee.
Oh, that's good.
Excellent.
That's good.
Oh, okay.
Good idea.
So he's our traffic sergeant. So
Okay,
Where is he?
on the screen.
he's
And
on.
I'm gonna
Oh,
go,
there he is
Here's
down
Natalia.
there. He's just not a picture. I'm sorry, duh.
I'm gonna put myself on mute because my keyboard is really loud, so I don't want to be interrupted while everybody's typing or talking.
Okay. Well, it's
So-
4:30. I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order, Brennan.
Okay.
Okay, before we get started, I want to get a motion, if you've read over the minutes from last week or last month, get a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Okay, gonna get a second?
Second.
Second, who did that, Brennan? Does
Brennan.
anybody have any questions about them? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, before we move on, I'm going to welcome our guests, Tom and Sharon. And Mark, thanks for being here with us too. We appreciate you helping out with the police department. We'll go ahead and talk with, well, let me ask you this, Tom. Are you a part of either the Cynthiana Road traffic and lighting or Old Oxford Road issues?
No. No, I'm just a resident here that drives Old Oxford Road every day.
Uh-huh. Okay, so do you want to talk about that at old business on number 5, or do you want to address, you want to wait till we get to there?
It's up to you. I'm fine either way.
Is Mr. Griffin on?
No, I have not seen him come in.
Okay, have you seen Miss Mitchell?
No, have not.
Okay, well, they might join us. Okay, Tom, if you'd like to go ahead and address it, we'll go ahead and do that before we move on to new business.
Okay. I mean, I've been a resident here for over 17 years driving down this road. I used to drive it when it was a nice, quiet road before, things started expanding. And the road was not expanded properly. There's no base under the edges. This was a lot narrower, and when they paved the road, they just threw some blacktop over the edges. And with all the construction and all the traffic, the edges are just falling apart. I went a year and a half ago, I drove the road with Mr. Hightower, and there was a plan. He said, we need to go through and we're going to dig out some of these areas. I explained that there's not money to redo the whole road, which, I understand it's a 5-year process once you even get approval. But we can't wait 5 years on this road. It is extremely dangerous. And if you and your family were driving down this road every day, it would move up. If the mayor was driving down this road every day, it would move up in priority. I'm absolutely sure of that. Because the edges are falling apart, you can't drive on the edge. So you have to drive more in the middle, and then cars come the other way because of the blind curves and stuff like that. Right now, actually, the curve itself is probably the best part of that road. It's on other sides where things are just falling apart. Something needs to be done before somebody gets hurt again. I was on the scene when a young man died out there a long time ago, and that's an awful thing to see. And granted, he should have been wearing a seatbelt. He was probably traveling too fast, whatever, but somebody else is going to get seriously hurt on this road.
I
And
understand.
the city's not even paying when people get their cars damaged. The city doesn't want to pay for anything. I know of one neighbor in particular who blew out a tire and had to get an alignment, and the city just said, "Oh, you knew it was bad, so you were not going to pay for it."
Okay. The only thing that I can tell you is what's been addressed previously is that it is on our radar. It is an issue that we are definitely going to be talking about with our new council. There's several things that we are going to be talking about, and it's at the top of the list. And right now, That's all I can tell you. But I do know that it is a priority for us to be looking at. And I know it's been a long time coming, but you know, we have been in a situation where we haven't really been able to do anything because there is no money. And those are things that we're looking at, and we have things that we have to address. Even to be able to have more cops out there, we've got to look at ways to have recurring revenue in order to get their wages up and hire more, and so that we can have people that can patrol. So we are working on it, Tom. You know, and you can come to every one of our traffic meetings if you like. I encourage you to come in on our council meetings because it is going to be discussed, and it is something that's going to be, but there's like a process of things that we've got to go through to get there. But right now we don't have the money.
Right. And we should. And I know it's not necessarily your job to get the money. It's probably more city council that allocates the money, but there's a lot more residents driving this road now. So it's a lot more tax revenue that's coming in from those residents. So money should be getting increased for city roads. As the population increases, that number needs to increase as well because of the wear and the tear on the roads.
Well, I don't disagree with you on that either. I do sit on city council, and I do sit on the finance committee, and we are getting ready to put our budget together, and we are looking at different avenues for different things, not just Oxford Road. There's several issues that are very desperate that we need to look at. So that is what we're doing, and that's what I can tell you right now.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
thank you. I'll pass it on to the neighbors. I thought there were going to be a few more neighbors joining in, but they must not have been able to make it.
Well, you're
But there
welcome to
are a
come
lot
back.
of
Mr. Griffin.
people.
Yeah. I'm sorry, who?
Mr. Griffin just signed on.
Okay. Do you want to address it now, Mr. Griffin? We just got through talking to Tom, but I was just telling him that we understand the issue. It's at the top of our radar. It's something that we are going to be bringing to council and talking about. Right now, we just haven't had the money, and that's just what it is. We don't have the money.
And to be honest, the city should not be allowing all this construction if they're not going to take care of the infrastructure. I mean,
Well,
they're starting another development on the road now as well, and that's just going to tear things down even more.
well, down here in our minutes, Ben Krebs mentioned that 2,000 feet will be widened on Old Oxford Road with the Village of Lanes Run development. And also there's other developers that are looking to possibly add an additional 1,000 feet. So, and he verified that there were people that were driving speeding out there. We just don't have the manpower to send out there, but it is being addressed by some of the newer developers, and it is on city council's radar. That's really all I can tell you right now about that.
Okay.
As the weather breaks, you will probably see construction traffic signs go up, and they will start taking out trees in the embankment, and they're going to start widening. It's not going to be, it's not going to make a huge improvement to the road, but it should give you a couple more feet to work with a good shoulder as well. So.
And I mean, yeah, I mean, and if what Mr. Hightower talked about, if that was being done, like he had said a year and a half ago, so it should have been done over a year ago. You know, some of those areas in the shoulders need to be dug out, put in some stone for a base, and then patch it. Just as, you know, I realize that's not the long-term goal here, but something to keep people safe anyways.
Well, Mr. Hightower's not here to defend himself, but a year ago, we didn't know if we were going to have revenue. So right now we're in a better place than we thought we were going to be, Tom, and we're very thankful for that. And it looks like that we're going to be able to move forward. And I'm being optimistic about it because it is better than what we thought. So hopefully we'll be able to address a lot of issues that we've not been able to do in this past year, along with Zoom meetings and everything else. But I encourage you to come back next month, third Monday, and come to our council meetings because we're going to start working on the budget. And I think it'll probably encourage you and also give you some more insight. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Is anybody else as far as guests go? If not, we can move on to new business.
Ma'am, this is Jay Griffin.
Yes, sir.
Am I okay? Can you hear me fine?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, I would like to follow up on last month's meeting as well as my previous meetings and some emails and phone conversations. Of course, Mr. Hightower isn't here, but I agree as far as the, the road is too narrow, there's potholes, it makes it a little dangerous, but all this talk of widening, if you go back to the original concern I've brought forth a few times over the years, is the excessive speeding and disregard for tailgating and just allowing people in and out of their driveways. I just don't see how that's really going to help that road with all the traffic. As I mentioned in the previous meetings, everybody seems to want to get there 20 seconds earlier to the stop sign and connector. But, and I agree about construction traffic causing damage to the roads. In fact, $100,000 that CJ May gifted to the city to kind of entice or, push along the rezoning for the mill apartment and try to sell. That $100,000 went to, for some reason, it was kind of intended to go to Old Oxford for improvements, but instead it was tabled for a long time and then brought up with no notice. And it was put together to repair Icabana Path, which the construction people were destroying, but yet for some reason the taxpayers fixed it, even though these companies are making money. But no, to go back to the original issue, it was the speeding and the unsafety issue as far as that straight stretch from just east of the Lanes Run Creek, the straight stretch. It's not curvy like the other areas that Tom and Sharon are talking about, but where it's just unsafe to even get in and out of your driveway. And so I'd like to go back to, you all said you were going to revisit this. Of course, Ms. Tackett, you were not at the last meeting. I haven't had many close calls. I've had a couple, mostly angry people that can't stand you got to drive less than 45, 50 miles an hour to get your driveway less than a mile from Connector or Magnolia, actually more like an eighth of a mile. So my question is that I asked Mr. Hightower, and he's not here to defend himself, as you mentioned, but I brought it up the last two meetings I was able to attend. What about Oxford Drive? And where the road is very similar in the stretch where it gets close to Connector Road, there's a subdivision entrance. Actually, there's two. There's some townhomes and stuff over there across on Market Drive. I don't know if that subdivision has a name, but there's an entrance to Cherry Blossom subdivision, the golf course. And of course, there's a lot of houses that are very close to the road, maybe 30, 40 feet, kind of like mine and some of the neighbors. There's a subdivision entrance. There's other entry points, I guess you all call it. And of course, there's another road off this side, which is Magnolia Drive. I think there's a little road off of Oxford Drive where people can turn left now onto Connector. Thank goodness somebody finally fixed that mess up there. People turning left from Oxford Drive was a nightmare. But anyway, what about putting a similar situation? I asked back in July and I asked again in October and I asked last month, what about, because I know enforcement is just about impossible because of money, but it doesn't seem like it would cost too much money to put speed bumps and a stop sign at that subdivision entrance, slow it down, that one straight stretch where it gets close to Connector from 35 to 25, similar to Cherry Blossom where it goes from 55 to 45 as you get to the busy areas. And if you look at some other roads, Barkley Road, you get to more houses congested close to the road. It goes from 35 to 25. A lot of areas, even Newtown Pike, goes from 55 to 35. Congestion of areas. Why not do something like that? I mean, it may not help for the entire road, but really that area of the road is not the issue with the potholes and the trees being right. They've already destroyed all the trees along that road. There used to be trees everywhere, all the way to the road. It was beautiful. But anyway, the country has gone there and now it's all city, city, city. But I just don't understand why people got to go 10, 15, sometimes 20 miles over the speed limit to get there and be at a stop sign when the person you pass or whatever is going the speed limit and you're still there when they get there. So that's my question. You all said, I think it was one of y'all said you all would look into it. I think it was Mr. Hightower and Mr. Stone. So I don't see them on the list here unless I'm not seeing it all. So I was just kind of curious they were going to bring it up.
Well, Mr. Hightower's not here, but I do want to address with Tim, as far as speed bumps go, hasn't that always kind of been an issue for EMS and fire trucks? Tim?
Speed bumps in general?
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest issue with the speed bumps has been with Public Works.
Oh,
with
has
plows,
it?
with
Snow
plows.
plows.
Snow plows and stuff?
As far
Okay.
as for fire trucks, I mean, we would just use caution going over them, obviously. But as far as, I can't speak for EMS, but I think the biggest part has always been with the snow plows.
Yeah.
May I
And
ask
spending
why they
money-
were installed there on Oxford Drive there, in the stop sign? I mean, it's kind of like right where those houses start and Cherry Blossom, which, when Cherry Blossom, they got the money for Icabana Path instead of it going to Old Oxford from CJ May. So it seems like they always get it. Did somebody complain? Is the snow plows or that having an issue there? Because it seems to work. I've driven that before they put the new interstate. I've driven that road on the new interstate exit, which made Cherry Blossom West Conjunction. I've driven that road back and forth. And I mean, some people go a little fast in that one stretch 35, but people go about 25, 30 when they got stop sign speed bumps coming up. And of course, you got a subdivision entrance where there's less chance of an accident, people pulling over. I mean, what else can do? Enforcement isn't going to happen. It hasn't happened forever. And even if they do get the money, it's not going to happen anytime soon. I'm just thinking that shouldn't be that expensive an option. Plus, replacing all the stop sign, not the speed limit signs that tend to disappear as soon as they put up on Old Oxford wouldn't be a bad idea either. And I don't think they're getting knocked down because sometimes the pole's still there, but the signs just disappear suddenly. I don't know why.
Okay, well, again, the only thing that I can do is refer that to Brennan and Eddie Hightower when he gets back. And when the weather permits, they can go look at it and along with Ben and see if they want to spend any money right now to do something that I don't know for sure what they can do. They can look at your idea, but I'm not going to, take a vote on it tonight or anything like that. I'm going to let Mr. Hightower and Brendan do that.
People are beeping the horns as they drive by the house again. Sorry, my dogs are barking. People keep laying on the horns all the time now. Since it was mentioned in the newspaper, every time they drive by my house, I guess now this meeting's triggered it. Well, thank you guys. Oh, and by the way, Ms. Tackett, it's not my idea. It's whatever. And that's what I asked Mr. Hightower. Why was the reason? Is there any record of it? Maybe if the free press is listening, they can help out. I've been trying to get this answer since July. Is there a precedent? Why were the speed bumps put on Oxford Drive? Why was the stop sign? Was it because of Cherry Blossom being right there? People complained about the noise, the danger of pulling out from the subdivision, getting in and out of entrances and driveways, which I've almost been, in my opinion, killed a couple of times or could have been hurt. That's all I'm asking. That's all I've got to say. Thank you so much. I'll see y'all next month.
Thank you. Does anybody else got any, do we have any other guests? If not, we'll move on to new business. Does anybody have new business they want to bring forth? No? Okay. So let's go. Well, we just got through talking about, Cynthiana Road, traffic and lighting. Did you check that out, Natalia? You know what I'm talking about? It's under new business on Cynthiana Road, traffic and lighting, Barkley Lane.
So lighting would be a city thing by permit if they want lighting, like street lights.
Okay.
As for signalization, there's still development going out there right now and lanes being built. So it's not something that we would look at the moment for signalization. We can put it on the table list and we can add it to the list to evaluate later.
Okay. Can you do that, Kitty? And then the other thing, Officers Lodel and Christopher said they'd take a look at the area and report back to the committee about traffic calming measures that may be required in the future. Can we table that right now too, Nick?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's do that until we really can't do anything with the weather the way that it is. But as we go down, there were some other issues I wanted to talk to you guys about. So we'll keep it there, Natalia, okay? And we just got through listening to Mr. Griffin. So we'll go on to 6. And we'll keep 5 on there, Kitty. And then 6, timing for crosswalk, US 62 and Paris Pike, Rural King. I noticed in the minutes that you were going to just kind of look at that, make sure that the walk time's correct. Did you have a chance to do that, Natalia?
Yeah, I did check. Well, yeah, I checked the signal time that's in there for pedestrian time, and it's accurate.
Okay.
And a
So-
couple are actually a couple seconds longer. So, I mean, if you all get any more complaints, if we can get some specifics, if there's a specific time or if there's other specific issues, because you know, like I said, the walk time is 7 seconds, and then the flashing don't walk, which is the time to clear the intersection, ranges between 33 and 36 seconds. So that's a pretty long clearance time since it's such a wide crossing.
Okay. All right. Well, then, since you've already checked that and it's already longer than it is, do we need to take that off of our agenda?
I'd say that'd be fine. If anyone has further issues with it or concerns, you can definitely send them to me, and we'll, you know, try to get more details on what their
Okay.
concerns are.
We can refer them to Natalia, okay? It's Kitty. We're going to take that off. 205 North Hamilton, I think you all already took care of that. That's been done, the handicap. Has it been put up, Brennan?
I am not 100% sure. I know Eddie said that he was going to get a hold of Bruin about it. So,
Okay. Well, I'm not going to bother Eddie tonight. We can follow up with that tomorrow. Well, when he gets back from his vacation, we'll ask him. If not,
okay.
we'll try to get that done before our next one. We'll leave it on there, Kitty.
I'm pretty sure if it hadn't been done, it won't be done for at least a week with all the snow plowing and stuff.
Exactly. We're
Bonnie.
gonna be, yes, ma'am.
I just put on there that we'll check to see if it's been completed, and if so, we'll remove it from the agenda.
Okay, thank you. All right, Tim, number 8, Canewood stop sign parking.
Yes, I was contacted again this week about Jamestown Court, just about the issue with them having that in that cul-de-sac, and Eddie said that they were going to go out there and look. And
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on a minute, honey. We're talking about Canewood stop sign parking in the Canewood over
Oh,
on
no,
Millfield
yes,
Place
I'm
in
sorry.
that legal court. That's okay. Did you go over there and report back to Eddie?
I went over there and looked, and I didn't really see any issues. I think I just need to, if you'll give me another this month just to kind of go back over there and see. I'm trying to hit it at certain times, and I haven't really seen anything. But I'll follow back up, and I'll get next month. Hopefully, I can get something to where I can get a better concrete answer of what she's actually talking about.
Okay, okay. That'll be good. Thanks, Tim. We'll leave that on there, Kitty. So two-way signs on stop. This is at Emerson and West Showalter. Before Eddie left to go on vacation, him and I got together and we talked about several things that was included, along with, if you drop down to 14, Jamestown Court, the no parking sign, and all of that. And we're going to address those issues when he gets back. So if he didn't do Jamestown, it was because of weather and he was gone, Tim. So he is going to go ahead and address that. And he sent us a text on that. So
on that note, a two-way, we also said Natalia also said it couldn't be done. Two-way is not part of the MPTCD anymore.
Okay.
But the what she suggested was the traffic doesn't stop on the crossing traffic doesn't stop, that sign there to put on there, and we have a few of those in the city too.
I've seen those.
Sense.
Okay. Well, those are some of the things that we'll address when Eddie gets back, Brennan.
Okay.
And we'll have more completion at our next meeting. Okay, Kitty? Just leave it on there. Bypass and Paynes Depot intersection. Did I read that right, Natalia? The state's going to be adding new lights at this location?
Okay, so yes, we haven't gotten it to it yet. Obviously, for weather reasons, our schedule with our contractors gotten far behind. Yeah, they're going to be adding dual reds. So they look like a T almost, if you're familiar. So double reds, and they're just making some signal head changes on the Paynes Depot approaches
Okay.
to that signal, because there's been a lot of complaints there. But looking at the collision history, it's been a lot of red light running, especially in that direction. So trying to make a few changes to make the reds a little bit more apparent there.
Okay. We'll just keep that on there and keep up with it. Okay, Kitty? But that's good news. That's good to know. Thanks. Copperfield Island parking. I'm pretty sure that that's kind of owned by I don't think it's the city that owns that. Do they, Ben?
I don't think, I don't know. If it's in the middle of the right of way, it's generally just like an amenity type thing. The HOA takes care of those, but I don't think people should be parking inside the median. So if that's
Well, it's not a medium. It's actually a place for people to park. Have you seen it?
They've been parking there since the houses were built, Ben.
Yeah, since the inception of and there is no HOA. So what exactly is the issue for Copperfield Island parking? People are parking on it?
Well, the minutes I have from December, because when I was looking to put this on here today, we had said that the developer had added that lane for people to park between the trees and the spaces to be used by visitors.
Right.
And code enforcement had made the request because there were vehicles that are parked for extended periods of time. So they're not just visiting, they're just using that for their, I guess, residential parking. Yeah. And Eddie was going to check to see if the city maintained that. And if we did, that we could possibly install 24-hour parking signs. And Eddie was supposed to get back to us.
Okay, we'll leave that on there because I know exactly where he's talking about. Like
as far as it being a code enforcement issue, if there's an issue with them being parked there if they're in that cul-de-sac and they live there and they need an additional parking space, I personally don't have an issue with that. I mean, that's up to the committee. On a code enforcement side of it, it would be more so if a broken down vehicle was parked there. You know what I'm saying? If it was left there for tires flat and just sitting there in the median forever, even if it is a parking spot. Those are tight areas up there to try to get parking in general. So I could see how maybe somebody that does live there would utilize that. That's up to the committee as far as if they want to limit that to just visitors. But as far as the code enforcement side of it, it would be more of just a broken down vehicle, a junk vehicle, something sitting there that was in disrepair for some period of time.
Well, I have to agree with you, Tim, because it is small, tight areas, probably tighter than most places we have. And most of those driveways are one car garage, and maybe another vehicle. So if you have a 2 or 3 bedroom over there and you have teenagers, you're going to have an extra vehicle. So I think the extra parking for your family or your visitors, like Todd said, it's always been there. I don't, unless you, like you said, unless it's a flat tire or something like that, code enforcement issue.
And I'll touch base with my crew just to make sure that there isn't any issues as far as just vehicles that are, nuisance vehicles in essence. But I'd rather them park in that spot than, having several vehicles parking on the road. It just makes things safer, makes things more visible coming down that road. But that's up to you guys. But as far as me, I'm fine with them utilizing that as long as they're operable vehicles.
Okay. Well, let's just leave it on there. Go ahead, Kitty. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, if it's not a city-owned street, if it's just the neighborhood development issue, I'm with Tim. If they're not bothering anybody and it's not a neglected vehicle that's sitting there, if it's sitting there for a month, we might need to do something about that. But you know, if like with homeschooling, like you said, if there's a teenage driver there and they're not really going anywhere, so they're parked for weeks at a time,
Yeah.
I don't really have an issue with that.
The only thing I'm concerned about is that in our minutes, it says that Eddie was going to check to see if it's city owned. I almost think that it's not.
No,
I
he was
can't
going to
imagine
check
it
to see if
being.
it was maintained by us.
Yeah. But
I only saw one plat on there. I know that they have the old plats, hanging up in the courtrooms, but it shows it all as right away. But it's a raised concrete median, and so I don't know if there was no. It was one of the older plats, so there's no saying of who maintains it or anything. When I looked, but there's 3 different ones going down that street.
okay, yeah. Well, let's just take it back up with Eddie. I know you've looked at it, but there probably needs to be a determination there if somebody brought it up and is asking about it. But I mean, they've been used for over 20 years for parking.
So again, is the issue that it needs repaired or that there's cars parking that shouldn't?
That is a good question. What is the issue, Brendan? Do you remember?
I think it was it Tim? Did you bring it or did someone call you all or somebody? Because I don't think.
I don't recall bringing it. It could have been Sam or Tammy that brought it to you
Eddie
guys, but yeah.
All it says in the notes is that that code enforcement was looking to see if the vehicles that were parked for an extended period of time. So
it might have been broke down.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we just table this until somebody can figure out why it was brought up to begin with?
yes.
Well, we'll just keep it on there, and I'll take these minutes when Eddie gets back, and we'll go through them, and we'll have answers for everybody.
Okay, Tim, can you check with your folks to see, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it says Hightower believes that they are likely city-owned, but will verify and provide information to Officer Lodel and Christopher. So we'll follow up with that. Okay. Connector access road, stop signs private.
I know Eddie's been in contact with the owner of the Starbucks. I'm just not sure where they're at and if there's an agreement or what, but I think he's wanting to do something, the owner. So
yeah.
And we provided him a map of where to put some signs, for that.
Well, from the conversation that I had with Eddie, he said that because it's city owned, that it's privately owned, that the owner would have to purchase the sign and have the sign put up if he wants to do it. It's not up to us to do it. But that's what Eddie told me when we got together. So do you want to take that off? Because he's already contacted him. Or you want to leave it on there and confirm next month? But that's what he told me before he left. Okay.
We can confirm it. And I know Andrew said that since it was private, but I didn't know if we wanted to leave it on just to see if the owner does put it up.
Okay, you can do that. Yeah, that's fine. We'll go on to the next thing then. Royal Spring Welcome Center parking. Lori Saunders. That's down there by the old jail.
Yes.
Yes, and multiple times we have talked about this, and there's a business that's supposed to move and those kinds of things. So I thought perhaps we could take it and put it under tabled business until that business does move and see if there's still an issue later on.
That's a
Do
good
you know
idea.
when they're moving?
It's supposed to be in November of last year.
Okay.
But we keep addressing it, but there's really nothing we can do about it just yet because we wanted to wait. So I think if we table it, then we still know it's there, but we also gives us a little leeway about checking things.
Yeah. Well, all of the other stuff that we're going to be checking, Kitty, when the weather permits, and it will be before next month, Well, that'll be something we can go ahead and check in to see if they've moved. If they've moved, there's probably not going to be a parking issue for Lori.
Right. Well, and currently with COVID and that kind of thing, there's also not, because we don't have people coming to visit much.
Right.
So,
But the table thing's a good idea, and we can always address it. So we'll do that.
okay.
Number 14, no parking signs. I talked to Eddie last week before he left, and I think we're going to go ahead and take care of Jamestown, but I think we're also going to go ahead and hit the rest of them and get those done as well. That can be done. And so we'll have more information on that. Hopefully most of them, some of them done, okay? But we are going to do that if the weather permits and we've got the signage.
Do those have to go to council, Connie?
I'm going to ask Devin. I'll
Okay.
ask her tomorrow and find out and let you guys know. And
on the agenda, I forgot to write. Eddie had mentioned putting Barrett Court and Showalter on there.
yes,
Was that a sign that was added after the fact, or I'd asked Ben earlier, but for some reason I want to think that sign was added after both subdivisions were completed.
I think so.
And I was wondering why it was added. I don't know if there was a study done or.
No. No.
Okay.
But it's a court. You know?
It's the T, I think, isn't it? Showalter there, just past the post office.
Well, if you're coming out of a court and coming on a Third-Way Drive, you're going to stop. There's no reason for people on Showalter to be stopping when you just came out of the red light from 25. I mean, it's like the first cul-de-sac on the right. So
yes.
That's why we were talking about removing those stop signs. So that's why it's to be put on there, but we can discuss that next month as well.
Okay.
Okay. And I know that number 15, keep those on there, Kitty, number 14. Number 15, intersection at Hamilton and Washington. It is on Bruin's list. It's just not something he's going to be able to do right away. But as soon as the weather breaks, I know it's been on there a while. And then number 16, Kytc Highway 460 downtown parking and modifications. We got our grant. Did you all see that?
I haven't. There was an email, I guess.
I got
they
it
were
here.
still asking for something, but
it's right here. The last thing, the last conversation that was, or the last email, I was emailed to me from Eddie and Todd, and basically it says that they had a long conversation with Kim. Bottom line is that we've been awarded $837,250, and for construction and design. And the estimate that we have is $919,731.45. So we need $82,500. So I think that we're going to probably ask council about that to see how we can get that done. But when is that? And then Natalia, when they get it all done is when we're going to address our parking at that time. But that's just an update on that from the email.
Honey, is that a build grant or a Tiger grant?
It's a build grant.
TAP grant.
TAP.
It's
I'm sorry. TAP
okay.
grant. Yeah. Sorry, right here. TAP grant. Thanks, Brennan.
No, I just knew they had several, and I just wanted to make sure I put in the right one.
No, TAP grant. But there you go. That's good news. Some good things to 17 stop sign, Seminole Drive and Hutchins. That's where we're going to add Barrett Court, Kitty, and Showalter. And then the good news is on number 18, the traffic ordinance. I talked to Eddie about that before he left on vacation. And I know COVID's kept everybody from doing a lot of stuff, but I think we've got the Zoom thing down pretty well. And I told him that, and I spoke to the mayor today as well, that we're getting ready to make some, go through quite a few things on our budget, bring it up to council, refocusing, recapping everything that we were doing prior to COVID. and getting ready to address some issues that the city needs to have addressed. And because they're doing that, I feel like that we can go ahead and do the same thing with the traffic ordinance, because it's been on hold all this year. So we're going to get back on that when Eddie gets back, and we're going to get with Devin. I know a lot of it's done. It just needs to be compiled and put together and just relooked at with everybody. And honestly, what I said to Eddie and to the mayor today is that it is something that needs to be done, but we are going to be taking care of a lot of other issues right before we pass our budget. So what I would like to see us do is get back on the traffic ordinance next month, find out where we're at, even if we have to go back to our subcommittee. And after we get done with the budget, be ready to present the traffic ordinance to the council, is what I'd like to do. Y'all think that's a good timeline with everything else that we've had go on?
Yes.
Okay, so that's our goal. Okay, has anybody got anything else they would like to bring before council?
Just a question.
Yes,
And it's
ma'am.
not, I don't know if this is something Brendan does or you can get done, but I just noticed yesterday when one of my neighbors asked me about which roads are in the emergency one. So if you go to the city website, there's a whole lot of clicking and a whole lot of stuff you have to do, which is not unusual. But I think it's not very user friendly for the public in that regard. So when that happens, if there was just a page that just listed the streets alphabetically so people didn't have to hunt through those things, I think it would have been easy, because I had to answer lots of questions yesterday just because people call, they're like, oh, she'll know because I live on Main Street. But I was like, no. But there's,
You're talking about the snow removal?
Yeah, because people don't, we don't have this event all that often, and people don't notice the signs. We do because it's part of what we do. But they were like, well, what about Chambers? I'm like, I don't know. But if there was just a page that when you went to snow removal, you could click on, it just lists all the streets alphabetically, simple, easy, and then we'll be done and people won't call me.
I am making a
Not
note
that
of
I don't
that.
want to help, but
I'm making a note of that, Kitty, and I'll bring that up at council and ask if we can get something done like that.
I just think it would just, it's just a simple
I
tweak,
don't
and they
think
probably already have.
there is, but I know that there's a map that we have. Maybe it could be even more user-friendly added onto there.
I think you do both. Some people have trouble reading the map.
That is true.
Yeah, I think
true.
I think when the mayor declared the state of emergency and it was posted on social media, I think that'd have been a good addition that we can add. That way folks would know. Because it listed if there's signs on your road and all this kind of stuff to be off or it's going to be towed. So I think that'd be a good addition.
Right. Well, and I know Main Street is a snow route, but I don't think on the east end of the street, I don't think there's a sign anywhere that says that. Oh, that was the other thing I thought about yesterday. If it is a street like that, if we had temporary signage, because we don't need permanent, District 7 just went by, hang on. We don't need it all the time, but if it was something that when we knew, whether we use the moving sign or we just have some signage that we put up, snow emergency route, and be done. Make it easy.
With Main Street being a state route,
it's not an emergency.
That's the non-emergency. That's an automatic. It's done by them route, no matter what.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Ours is easy, but I just think people don't know. Because I told one of my neighbors and he said, there's no sign on Main Street. I'm like, it's the main road through town. Trust me, it is the emergency snow route. You live really close to the fire department and the police department. They go through there all the time.
All the time.
That's how I knew it was really bad yesterday morning. The ambulance was actually going on a call, and I think the ambulance was probably going 25 at best. It was so slick. I mean, they were just barely moving, so trying to keep people off of them.
Well, Kitty, I want to tell you this before we sign off or ask anybody who wants anything else. I want you to know that when I come down Main Street now, I am kitty conscious.
Are you?
Speeding. Yes. Yes, I am. And I always encourage my husband to, I'm like, listen, This is 35 mile an hour, and if you can go slower, it would be much appreciated.
Nick and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I've been really watching myself. That's the thing. Driving fast and speeding and not paying attention in the cell phones. You know, people don't pay attention, and it comes back on to the individual as being responsible enough about, you know, stopping and obeying. That's why you take a traffic test, you know.
Right.
But I'm not going to get into that right now. We've already
Well,
been down
that's
there.
why when we've talked about what to do on Main, when I've talked to Natalia about just putting the white stripe that delineates that those are parking spaces, because the lanes, at least on our end, are so wide that they don't look like a typical city street. So they tend to go faster because there's not that visual that, oh, this is still a skinny lane and some parking, you know. So.
Especially down there on East Main when you come around that curve.
Oh yeah.
That's where they rev it up. I know. But I just want you to know I'm kitty conscious.
I appreciate that, Connie.
You're welcome. Does anybody
all
got
the
anything?
children in the neighborhood appreciate it.
I did find the list. It's the appendix 5. But I don't know if I haven't looked on the website to see if it's there, but there is a list of the names.
Good.
Appendix
Well,
5, Kitty.
like Tim said, if you can just pop that on there, because, you know, the normal citizen doesn't need to look through to find appendix 5 to know if there's streets on the list. So,
Maybe you can make that more user-friendly, Brennan.
Yes.
Okay.
in your
That's
spare
good.
time, just pop that up there.
Should be easy to do, right?
Right.
Okay, has anybody got anything else they'd like to bring? Well, okay. Thank you all very, very much. I appreciate each and every one of you. Stay safe, stay warm. Don't go out unless you absolutely have to. And March 15th, 2021 via Zoom will be our next meeting.
Sounds
Thank you.
good.
We're adjourned.
Thank
Well,
you.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Well, you first responders, be safe out there, please.
Yes, we appreciate you all.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good to see y'all.